Gentlemen, what are your tricks for lasting longer in bed? Getting really old worked for me, but when you are younger, the sweet spot for time when having is 15 minutes. A number of studies have shown this. If you are struggling to make that, think of your grandmother. That always helped me speed things along. Lots of foreplay, fingering and oral, and then when you're actually penetrating, flex your pelvic floor muscles. I also think of elephants, and it helps keep me from getting overly excited. Evening Redditors should probably use a throwaway for this, but you know what? ICBA, foreplay, fingering, etc. has always been the way to go for me and my girlfriend. I don't often last all that long, and it tends to go limp after a less than ideal amount of time. I can get it hard again, just a bit annoying. She doesn't mind at all, and I've lost the sense of embarrassment around it that I had before. However, I always make sure to satisfy her and reciprocate. My tip: got similar situations, enjoy yourself, but it ain't just about you. Make it enjoyable for her too. This is Reddit, so probably nobody will read this, but just in case. For the young Padawans who don't know what the hell a pelvic floor muscle is, when you pee, you can interrupt peeing by flexing a certain muscle, right? I mean willingly interrupting the water or pee jet. Imagine you're noticing that whatever you're pissing on reflects the pee back on you. Since you don't want to piss on yourself, you instinctively flex a certain muscle to make yourself stop peeing, at least for a moment. That's the pelvic floor muscle. I am not sure if you actually last longer when flexing it, since flexing a muscle should actually increase blood flow into the. If trained, however, you can use it to actually decrease blood flow away from your. Since your body is pumping blood into it and out of it, you seem to be able to block the flow out by flexing the muscle for a while. That causes it to swell, therefore increases the overall volume and can increase intensity for you and your partner. The muscle does block the urethra, which is used by your body for both sperm and pee, but also influences pressure on nearby blood vessels. My personal theory is a bit different. It doesn't cause you to actually last longer, but your female partner to climax faster, because the increased stiffness and volume increases pressure and therefore friction on the clitoris, which is typically most sensitive on the belly-facing side, G-zone inside the clitoris, although that can be different for each female human. Missionary position seems to work best for achieving female climax faster for starters, and without stuff. You can make it even easier for you and cheat a bit by either tilting your hip upwards when laying on top of each other or slyly leaning your back backwards when your torso is in a upright position during missionary. That will automatically increase pressure and friction on that zone. Unfortunately, I can't tell you if this makes you last longer or not, because I am rather insensitive and have a problem of actually taking too long. I adapted use of this because it makes achieving multiple orgasms for the femaler much easier. Any sort of foreplay, fingering, oral, etc. that Sweet Cosmic Pope describes also helps women climax faster, because a pre-stimulated clitoris is swollen, similar to a guy getting a boner, meaning there is more blood in it and volume is increased. During penetration, that means that you can get her off more easily, because friction or grip or sensitivity is increased. The movement gets translated better from vagina to clitoris around the vagina. A last tip to finish this off: most women seem to prefer steady rhythms, while guys like to speed up the rhythm to or before climaxing. By simply keeping a rhythm, you can often get them off faster and keep yourself below climax push interval level. To achieve optimal rhythm, simply ask for feedback. Slow and hard can sometimes be more effective than a faster rhythm. To achieve multiple orgasms, choosing a different rhythm for the first and the second orgasm can help significantly. I prefer 1 fast to 2 slow and intense rhythm order because women can feel more sensitive, sore after the first one, tend to produce less wetness, and it also matches energy levels better. Pelvic floor muscle exercise for women will also make everything more intense for them because they can increase blood flow through the clitoris by flexing their muscles and improve movement push pressure translation to the clitoris. More trained muscles there will also passively have that effect because they take up more volume in general, like someone who trains his biceps more regularly gets thicker upper arms. If your girlfriend can't give you feedback on what she likes, direction, deepness, speed, dirty talk, it's not your fault. From my experience, that just means she is bad in bed. Hot looks don't necessarily mean good. Good communication does. Both combined mean a really good time. Make her come first. To be honest, it depends. Not all girls are a fan of this, so talk to them about it. Hear me out, lol. I used to always make my ex orgasm first and then I would start penetration after a bit of kissing. I did this for a solid 10 months until one day she straight up asked me if I could do it the other way around. She wanted me to get off first and then I would make her orgasm afterwards by doing oral. Her reasoning was that after I made her come, her vagina would feel too sensitive and plus she would get that post-nut clarity where she just wanted to lay down and not move for a solid 5 minutes. So yeah, I second your advice of making her come, but the order may matter to some girls. Some prefer before and some after, but the best is both at the same time, to be honest. Can't beat that. Your orgasm is tied to your breathing. If you pay attention to your breathing, you will hold your breath more as you near orgasm. If you keep your breath steady and deep, you will last virtually as long as you want. Just gonna tack onto this. When you meditate, you lower your heart rate pretty much within the first 2 or 3 breaths. Your head enters a different state and you begin to immediately feel more relaxed. So first, learn to meditate. This will help you control your breath and make it more effective. Other things that help is learning how to edge, doing kegels, and just learning how to regulate your emotions, pain and pleasure. It's really about just being completely in tune with your body, like when you walk outside and it's cold, really cold, and everyone around you shivers. Instead, take a deep breath and acknowledge the cold. It is cold, and accept the cold and press on. Do not allow your body to react to the stimuli. You will feel your body ease up and suddenly it won't feel cold anymore, like it's cold but it's okay. It no longer matters. Try to find things that don't quite fall into the self-harm category, but still elicit a response to stimuli that are hard to control. Start a regimen of antidepressant medication. Paxil paroxetine damn near took away my ability to come when I was on it. Got to the point I was skipping a dose or 2 if I wanted a chance at coming during. Imagine if every time you got close it just suddenly went away and took longer, and had less feeling after each time. That's what being on Paxil is like. A few of these UL Health sites, Hims for example, offer Paxil as a treatment option for premature ejaculation. It's a well-known side effect, and IARC Paxil is one of the worst ones when it comes to delayed ejaculation. Get her off first, so any pressure to perform a certain way is off. Ease into PIV, maybe even receive a cool, not vigorous BJ to get acclimated and a bit desensitized. Once you make it past the first precum sensation without coming, it's easier to last. Do positions at first that allow you to relax and control your PC muscles. If you start hard and tense, you're more likely to finish quick than if you build up and get your body ready. Even take breaks if you need them, but keep the intimacy going some other way. Breathe and be mindful of your partner and all the sensations in the moment. Don't be doing long division in your head to not come. People can sense when you're not present, and where's the fun in missing it anyway? After some time, totally dependent on you and your body, you'll feel less sensitive and can be more vigorous and handle more strenuous positions without coming before you want. From there, do what you both want. Also, just know what positions are absolute finishers for you with your partner. Save them for when you're both satisfied. Above all else, everyone have fun. A few short ways to last longer in bed. A no BS man's guide. Foreplay. This includes before the aka dirty texting and getting her revved up so she's warmed up for later. Touching, groping, rubbing her whole body. Remember, is a full body experience. Hand on her chest gives her a sense of security and vulnerability. Oral, kissing, touching, fingering, grinding, belly breathing. Being in tune with her breathing and yours, knowing when she's getting hotter and more revved and when you are, what she likes and doesn't like as you are. Aware of how she is breathing and moving with you and you breathing and moving with her. Slow down. You don't have to be like a sewing machine needling through. You can breath through each stroke, make it longer, shallower, deeper, and then grind. Breath deeply with her. Follow her breaths too. Dirty talk. Tell her you love her. Tell her you love when she does that thing. Tell her she beautiful and you love how she feels. Tell her she loves hearing that you want her. Every girl does. This goes back to the belly breathing part, but change your stroke pattern. Fast, slow, deep, grinding, etc. Breathe deeply, breathe deeply. Try different positions that give her more stimulation on different spots in the vagina. Some women orgasm with the A spot, some with the G spot. Learn your woman. Don't worry, it takes time. The final and best key I've been able to find. Do it all without fear. Have no fear over your next move or what it will be. Do it effortlessly in the moment. You're with her and she's with you. Have no fear and be bold with every move you make. It drives the ladies wild. Bonus tip: I usually have a boner shake on days I know we want to go at it. Boner shake includes 8 ounces glass of milk to raw eggs. Blend it and drink it the night before or the morning of. Super rock hard boner and last much longer. Watermelon helps too, and so does beetroot juice. From one guy to another, so you don't have to do the research. All of this is battle tested. Here's to yours and others' future success. Cheers! As a Yule therapist, I can add my 2 cents here. Most women really don't care. Unless it's really 1 minute, keep reading. But most women are fine with 3-8 minutes. The problem is, lasts way too long and or the perception of men. From an evolutionary perspective, the ones who come fast have a huge advantage, that is, you would be the one creating most offspring. As everyone is stating, more foreplay works typically in making it more equal and pulling out just before you come. A lot of comments are about a preliminary orgasm, but that does not work for everyone. But stopping before you come, not touching it for about 15-30 seconds and starting again usually works. If you do this 2 to 4 times, it will numb out and you should be able to last longer. If you are below 1 minute and you consider to have premature ejaculation, the first thing to keep in mind is that it happens to everyone. Especially if you are horny, and with a new girl it happens to the best. If it continues to happen, try to start with pelvic exercises. The muscles in this group are a large part of your ejaculation, and by doing this you have much more control. Many have said it, but very hard. Try to control your breathing. By lowering it during the act, the heart rate will drop and it will be harder to orgasm. However, it is very hard for most, plus some cannot maintain an erection just before you are about to come. Pinch very hard just below the glands or tip with your whole hand around it. That will stop the transmission of feeling for a split second, but will work typically. Wear a cockering. It will increase the erection harder and limit the transmission as well. Very often works if the right ring is chosen. Edge at home while masturbating. Start to recognize the feeling and find for yourself a way to divert that by, for example, stopping the stimulation. Zone out in your mind, move your pelvic muscles, etc. And the last one, do not try to come to fast while watching. Most men tend to want to get over with it and masturbate on for 20 seconds, conditioning the body to come fast. Masturbate without and use your fantasy and continuously masturbate for at least 5 minutes before you orgasm. Hope it helps. There isn't any trick for me. I 39M take anywhere from 10-20 seconds. Hell, if my wife has gotten me hot enough, simply being in her without moving will make me lose it. But I make up for it with my fingers and my cunning linguistics. Honestly, try the Kai numbing spray. It did wonders for me, but takes a little practice to figure out the exact amount to use. Still feels amazing. It won't be like you can't feel, just reduces sensitivity enough to last longer. Pro tip though, make sure to let it soak in on but then wipe off the excess before going for penetration. You don't want her. This particular problem got a lot better as I got older, but the secret to all my best performances has been cannabis. If I smoke enough beforehand, I can last pretty much forever. And it can take so much effort to get there when I actually want to that it tends to get her into multiples. My wife isn't a smoker, but has definitely picked up on the difference it makes and became quite encouraging about it. She calls it smoking my spinach. It is pretty much code for her now, where encouraging me to toke up on certain nights communicates her expectation to get her brains out later. Though, the effect can also complicate things too. Earlier on, it took a while for the wife to figure out that she would likewise have trouble getting me to climax orally, but letting her try was definitely getting up towards that 150% range. However, prolonged periods of that above 100% range without coming can absolutely be preferable to the sober 100% with the climax. The tricky part is convincing her of that, so that she doesn't become insecure about the times that I don't orgasm. Meanwhile, I'm actually happy as a pig in and feeling like stud and still hard. Go down on her first. She'll be satisfied, and then you can nut at your own pace. I don't get lasting longer. After a bit, women are kind of over it. Sort your woman first, then yourself, then go eat snacks and watch Netflix. You're not painting the Sistine Chapel. If it's longer than 15 min, I've checked out. And 15 min is pushing it. It shouldn't take either that long to get off. There are times I want it more than once, and I understand it takes him a min to come back around, but same rule applies. Typically, I like to get in, or rather him get it in, get it done and get out. Of course, planned romantic evenings out are different. I do like those planned experiment nights, but you get the idea. Couple of different things. First off, Emma and E can't do this anymore, 'cause I'm clean, but it used to work great. A few beers, sometimes I pull out and just smack the top of my pretty hard. If it needs another, it gets another. I'm pretty honest about it, and usually the girl appreciates it in the spirit of keeping things going. It usually gets a giggle or two the first time with a new partner, which is funny for us both and is a good opportunity to joke a bit and see how we get along. Alternately, gripping the base hard a few seconds before. Really hard. Like, make an okay sign around the base and squeeze. If you're early, you can stay in and ask her to stop, and then just flex very hard and take a deep breath in. I don't love this one 'cause it stops you both and she doesn't get to relax while you take care of your business. Sometimes, though, you can just tell you're extra sensitive. So, sometimes I'll just say, listen, I'm gonna have to get the first one out of the way, then let's have a few cigarettes and a drink and get back to it in 20-30. Keep things fun and flowing and flirty for a bit and listen to some music, then get back at it when you think you're ready. Have fun. And everyone who said go downtown and really enjoy making her come are absolutely correct. The advice above presumes that as the prime directive. Few things. When I was on antidepressants, I literally even faked orgasms because it was going on too long. Me and my wife have a finishing move. We have been together so long, we can foreplay for a bit, and depending on my level of horniness, we start the finishing move. It's a certain position that gets her off in a minute, but it's hard for me to maintain. So I let her know I am close and we move to the other position to get her off. Then I get off. I got a vasectomy, so now I don't have to worry that much about finishing if she is getting close. I can go and keep going for another 5 minutes before time runs out. I'm older now, so it's getting harder to finish anyway. When I'm about to finish too early, I think about something complicated like work, which is my mood. When she is done, I start getting back into it. I will also think about video games or movies I like. They used to say baseball, but I can't stand baseball, so it's usually something else like golf. Cardio exercise for performance. Regular self-love for practice control of that muscle and chemical reaction. Teenage years, you have both little practice and more hormones, so it is much more challenging to keep it going than when you get to your 20s. Also, a man's finish need not be the end point like it is in the movies. Just use your fingers and mouth to keep her going until you are a go for round 234 whatever. That is where the cardio training pays off. Have towels and water bottles or whatever handy so you and her can get a moment to refresh from the heavy breathing and sweating. Also use a dedicated towel for spooge. Spend more time on them. Get in that mindset. It then becomes subcoming shoes. It works. Get in better shape. Cock ring. Wear a condom with texture. Play with their clit the way they want. Use lube. Moan lightly. Get them to come quicker. Use a vibrator on them. Have a headache or something distracting. Take speedy drugs. Not watch while boinking. Close your eyes and not focus on sensation. Stare at a point on the wall. Who cares anyway? Drink some fluids. Have a light snack. 15 minutes later you can go again. There are no rules for having. Round 2 lasts longer than round 1. And round 3 lasts longer than round 2. Also get her off at least once, preferably more than once, before you even put your inside her. Don't go as fast as you want to go. Go a bit slower intentionally and you'll last longer. Also slow, deliberate strokes can be more intense for a woman if done right. If you feel like you're getting close, you can always hold still deep inside her and start flicking her bean, and if you're worried you won't get it up again for more rounds, that's more time you can spend playing with her, which will eventually turn you on enough to get hard again. You can probably go more times than you expect if you treat it like an endurance relay and not a sprint to the finish. You can also have her get on top and tell her, don't try to get me off, I just love being hard inside you. Just ride however makes you feel good and let's see how hard you can come all over me. If I feel like I'm close to nutting, I'll fully penetrate my girl, leave it inside, flex my pelvic floor muscles as hard as I can, and then relax while keeping it in. While I leave it in, I'll just rub my body against hers, gives me time to relax and slow down, and the body rubbing stimulates her clit. Once I've calmed down a bit, then I'll start thrusting again. Rinse and repeat. Changing tempo and positions help too. This helps me last longer but also works more for her. I go in all the way and then give her very shallow, almost imperceptible thrusts. They're almost not even thrusts really, but that's the word, I guess. This stimulates her vulva from the rest of my pubic region being pressed against her, and also gets her going while letting me stay low stim. For clarification, this isn't the only move I perform, but it really helps her get there between me needing to cool down. No idea if this works for other ladies. Unluckily, I discovered it with my current lass, and there likely won't be another. If anybody else has luck with this, let me know. Being in control. If I'm in control, I can last functionally forever, though I'm getting old and am married, so long all-night sessions where you've got something to prove to yourself or your lover aren't common. If you can stay in control and get good at keeping her on the edge, you can push her over whenever you like. By slowing, stopping, changing position, moving or oral or digital to finalize an orgasm for her with more precision, then giving her a moment of post-orgasmic bliss before I take control again and enter her for a more intense mutual finale. More importantly, though, is different every time, and with every lover. Don't be obsessed about lasting forever. It's not the primary goal. Should be mutual pleasure and enjoyment, connection with your lover, and fun, other than to inflate your own ego or boast to your mates. When you're young, there is no point being a perfectly straight pumping piston in control without any passion, so the above example won't always be right for your lover, and sometimes all they might want is for you to give in to your intense desire and let go of any thought beyond the moment. In those circumstances, don't try to last long, just make it intense and memorable. When you're young especially, you'll be amazed how quickly you'll be ready to go again. Do note that some women become too sensitive to want another orgasm straight after the first, though, but this is usually limited to clitoral stimulation. Most can still manage vaginal intercourse after one or more clitoral orgasms without it being too intense to continue. Later, don't make lasting a long time a goal above pleasuring your partner and making sure you both enjoy the experience. Make communication, both verbal and instinctual, your first priority. You will have bad. If you don't think you've ever had it, you've been the one who's not been great, and not everyone is compatible. Hell, even long-term couples can sometimes. NB. When I was 17, I was egotistical and inexperienced, fell into exactly this trap of trying to last forever above all else, and ruined at least a few early Yule adventures for myself and my lover. So I'm speaking from experience. Focusing more on my wife's pleasure during PIV helps. It takes your focus from holy this is so hot and feels great, and you don't have to think of non-why things that end up being distracting. There's a happy middle ground there where it feels great and you've got something to focus on that is fun as giving your partner pleasure, them orgasming. Maybe it's linked back to the breathing thing, where you're breathing more steadily. And after that, when she's ready for it, waiting for to feel your baby batter pulse inside her, and you have your orgasm round so polished and primed that when you decide to let loose, it's pretty damn amazing.